She moved into a rented apartment a few weeks ago. Small, cozy, old. The wooden floor creaked, the wallpaper peeled slightly at the corners, but overall it seemed safe. The landlord, an elderly man with a trembling voice, assured her the place was quiet, though his eyes avoided hers when he handed over the keys. She didn't think much of it. The low price and convenient location outweighed everything else. From the first nights, something bothered her. Faint sounds came from the ventilation grates, rustling, as if someone was scratching at the metal walls with their nails. Probably mice or rats, she told herself, though deep down she felt it wasn't true. With each night, the sounds grew clearer. Sometimes it wasn't just rustling, but breathing, heavy, wet, as if someone was sitting in the darkness, slowly inhaling. She checked the windows, locked the doors, but the feeling of being watched never left her. One evening, exhausted from sleeplessness and anxiety, she decided to investigate. Gathering her courage, she took her phone, placed it near the ventilation grate in the living room, turned on the recorder, and went to bed. The bed felt colder than usual, and the darkness in the room seemed thicker. She lay staring at the ceiling, listening as silence slowly filled the apartment. She only fell asleep at dawn when the first rays of light slipped through the curtains. In the morning, with a cup of coffee in hand, she sat on the couch and pressed play. For a few seconds, nothing, just the faint hum of air. Then, light scratching, as if something small was crawling inside. Her heart pounded, and then, breathing. Slow, rhythmic, almost human. She held her breath, gripping the phone. And then, a voice, a whisper. Clear, deliberate, as if someone was speaking directly into the microphone. "I see you." She flinched. Coffee spilled from the cup onto her lap, but she didn't notice. Her back was covered in cold sweat, and a lump stuck in her throat. This was no mistake. Someone, or something, was there, in the ventilation. She rushed to the grate with a flashlight, kneeling down. She shone the light inside. Darkness. Dust. Cobwebs swayed with her breath. And suddenly, a pair of eyes glinted back at her, deep in the shaft. They were human, but too shiny, too aware. She froze. A scream caught in her throat. The eyes vanished so quickly she wondered if she'd imagined them. But her heart hammered in her chest, and her hands shook. She called the maintenance crew. 2 men in dirty overalls arrived a few hours later. They removed the grate, shone a flashlight, and tapped on the pipes. "Nothing here," one of them muttered. "Maybe a bird got in, or your imagination's playing tricks." They left, leaving behind the smell of tobacco and a slight mess. But she knew it wasn't her imagination. That night she woke to a new sound. Rustling. But this time it came not from the living room, but from another grate, the one in the bedroom, right above her bed. She lay unable to move, staring at the dark opening. A shadow slowly emerged from it. She saw something stretching out, long, thin, like a hand, but with unnaturally long fingers. And then, the eyes. The same shiny, aware eyes that stared at her from the depths. They didn't blink. They just watched. She screamed, throwing off the blanket, and turned on the light. The shadow vanished. The grate was empty. But on the floor, right beneath it, was a wet stain, as if something had dripped from there. The stain smelled strange, not like water, but something organic, rotting. She felt nauseous. The next morning, she went around the apartment, checking every ventilation grate. In the kitchen, near the stove, she noticed another one, small, almost unnoticeable. Next to it was a note, a simple piece of paper, folded in half, that she definitely hadn't left there. With trembling hands, she opened it. In black marker, in uneven handwriting, it read, "Don't make me come out." She didn't remember packing. A bag, her laptop, a few changes of clothes, everything fit into one backpack. She called a taxi and went to her friend's place, explaining nothing to her or herself. Her friend, seeing her pale face, didn't ask questions, just poured hot tea and offered her a place to stay for as long as needed. The apartment is still listed as available on the rental site. The ad looks appealing: low price, cozy interior, vintage charm. But the reviews, if anyone leaves them, are always short and strange. Too noisy. Something's wrong with the ventilation. Couldn't stay long. One tenant, who lasted a week, wrote, "Someone lives there, and it's not me." She never went back. But sometimes when she's falling asleep in her new apartment, she thinks she hears rustling. Faint, distant, but familiar. And then she turns on the light and checks that all the windows are tightly shut. In her mind, that whisper echoes, "I see you." Months passed. One evening, scrolling through the news, she stumbled upon an article about that same apartment. A local journalist wrote about a cursed residence that no one could rent for long. The article mentioned a tragedy in the 1970s. A man who lived there vanished without a trace. They searched for him for weeks, but found only his clothes, neatly folded beneath a ventilation grate. The police never solved the case. Locals whispered that he went into the walls, but no one took it seriously. She closed the tab and turned off her phone. Her hands were shaking. That night she slept with the light on, but even that didn't help. In her dreams, she saw eyes, shiny, aware, staring at her from the darkness. And she heard the whisper, growing louder. "You can't hide.